Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 196 of the MTG Goldfish podcast. It's Seth, probably better known as Saffron Olive, and I'm joined today by Richard. Chris couldn't be here, but thankfully, Richard is here. How's it going today, Richard?
Hey, Seth, what's going on?
Oh man, I am pretty hyped today. We had a bunch of news over the last couple of days just kind of drop out of nowhere, culminating this morning with a stream from Wizards announcing that there's a set coming out in like a month, Ultimate Masters. I don't know how Wizards kept a Master set under wraps until this weekend, but we have a new Master set, not only a Master set, but apparently the Ultimate Master set, if the name is to be believed. So that's going to be one of our big topics today, what we know about Ultimate Masters, the box toppers and cards from Ultimate Masters. We're also going to talk a little bit about Pro Tour, which is coming up this weekend. So Pro Tour Guilds of Ravnica, excited for that as well. And of course, like usual, fish mail. So that's the plan for today. Before we jump into it, a reminder that the sponsor of today's show is spikesacademy.com. They are the world's first e-learning academy for Magic the Gathering. And they got courses by great players like Paulo Vito Rosa and now Reed Duke doing a modern course. So check them out over at spikesacademy.com. You can even get 10% off with the coupon code GOLDFISH. And to learn more, it's spikes_academy on Twitter. So thank you to them for their support. And with that out of the way, Richard, why don't you fill us in on what we know and what we've learned over the last couple days about Ultimate Masters?
Oh boy. So surprise spoiler season. So last week, people got mysterious packages in the mail. So if you ordered Guilds of Ravnica Mythic Edition, you remember the Hasbro Toy Shop fiasco. So WotC was like, hey, sorry about that. Here is a booster pack. And they sent a booster, and the wrapper was Ultimate Box Topper. And inside we saw not quite full art, like, I don't know, like semi-frameless cards. And people were posting them on Twitter, and WotC was like, hey, Monday morning, we're gonna reveal all the details. But there were some pretty sweet cards like New Art Bitter Blossom, Through the Breach, Fulminator Mage, all kinds of stuff. But today we finally got the stream, which explained everything. So Ultimate Masters is coming down. This is the last Ultimate Masters, or the last Master set for quote unquote a while, whatever that means. But they say this is the cherry on top for the 25th year celebrations. So this is the Ultimate Masters until we get Mega Ultimate Masters or something. But are you ready for this, Seth? The price is $335.76 a box. That's $14 a pack.
Yes, it is. It is very expensive. That is for sure. And the funniest part about that to me is, one of the biggest complaints about the last couple Masters of sets, was the $10 MSRP for a booster pack. And most people are thinking, oh, maybe they'll drop it back down to $7. But Wizards actually went exactly the opposite direction and made it even more expensive to get these packs. There is kind of a twist here. So the box toppers, you get one of them in your box. It literally comes in a separate one card booster pack in the box. You can only get those by buying a sealed box from your local game store. They will have 3 booster blister packs at Walmart and Target, big box stores like that. And those have an MSRP of, I think, $35. So your boosters are slightly cheaper if you get them through Walmart or Target, like $12-ish, a little under $12 a pack. But you lose out on that Ultimate Box Topper.
Yeah, and Box Topper is just a fancy name for a guaranteed randomized buy a box promo. And there's 40 of them. Every mythic in the set is guaranteed to be a box topper. Plus you have some special box toppers that are uncommons. And we'll get into the cards. We do have all 40 box toppers, so hence we have 40 spoilers from the set. And we're going to figure out if it is worth the hefty price tag of $14 per pack. But what's your initial impression of this? Because I was all on the hype train. I saw all of the art, and then WotC dropped this $335 number on me, and I'm like, so I hope someone at my game store can afford this so I can see these cards in real life, because I don't know if I want to spend this much. It's That's a lot of money.
So my initial reaction before we knew the MSRP of the box was this might finally actually be the master set we've been waiting for, because the value of the cards, we only know 40 cards. We know all 20 mythics, which is another weird twist. These sets normally have 15 mythics, so it actually has 5 more mythics than normal. But just looking over the cards, there is a lot of value there. Like, there is very few actual duds on the entire list. Like, the worst cards on the list are things like Maelstrom Pulse, maybe Kitchen Finks or Eternal Witness, the couple of uncommons. Tassiger isn't that expensive. But really, it's a very valuable list of cards, and we're going to talk about those in a minute. So my initial reaction was, oh my goodness, this set's going to have a ton of value. Now that we know the MSRP is going up like 30-something% or something, a pretty big jump. Now I don't know. Now I'm starting to think that maybe when you compare the actual cost of the box to the value in the box, it might actually be fairly normal for a master set as far as like EV stuff. But we don't know enough of the set to really calculate it yet and figure it out. And it's also going to depend on how much of it there is. Like, that's my big question for you, Richard. Discounting the price tag for a minute, which is admittedly high. No one disagrees on that. How easy do you think this will be to get for MSRP from your local game store? Is this going to be a master set where, like 25th Masters or Iconic Masters, if you want a box, you pretty much just show up and you can buy it whenever you feel like it? Or is this going to be like some of the older master sets where it's going to be really hard to get boxes and maybe even sell for more than the already high MSRP?
So I'm going to assume that Wizards printed enough of these. Now, there's a couple arguments you can use. So the first Modern Masters sold out, you couldn't get it. And then Wizards kind of overcompensated until we got to Iconic Masters, where this stuff is like literally all over the place, so you can't get rid of it. I think Wizards will just print just enough that you can get enough, but that people aren't trying to liquidate this stuff like 6 months down the line. So my guess is, you can get access to it, but it won't be available forever, if they do their job right. I don't think they're going to try to create a shortage by not making enough or just print this thing into oblivion.
So from your perspective, Richard, is it worth it? Is this something that you're going to go out and try to buy a box of? What is your take on that? Where do you fall on that scale?
It's worth it in the sense that it's going to drive down the prices of staples because someone out there is going to buy it. I don't know if it's worth it to, if you're playing Modern, your deck is already expensive enough. Let's say you're playing Jund. Like, you're about to replace half of your Jund deck with Ultimate Masters box toppers. And that is very, very expensive. So I don't know if I would make the personal splurge, even though the new Tarmogoyf art is insane. It's just so expensive. Like, how much do you think box topper Tarmogoyf is going to go for?
I think it's going to be really expensive. They look really good. And while I can't tell for sure, I don't think it's the VMA foiling that everyone dislikes, just from seeing some on camera. They opened one on their stream earlier. So I expect that these cards are going to be pretty expensive. I know an interesting mathematical aspect of it is if you compare the blister pack price, the 3 booster packs from Walmart and Target, to the box MSRP, I think it's $55 more you're paying per box to get a box from your LGS and get a box topper. So I would assume that that's kind of at least the average, because if it's lower than that, then there's not really any reason to buy a box from your local game store. So I think that some of the high-end ones, the Tarmogoyfs and Lilianas, are going to be pretty obscenely expensive.
So speaking of the foils, we saw them open the box topper, and my first question to Seth was, did I just see a VMA foil? Because it was slightly curled already. How important is this card stock, Seth? If it actually is the new quote-unquote fixed card stock that doesn't curl, but we've just saw something on camera where it was already slightly curled and this thing hasn't even hit shelves yet.
Yeah, so that was a little bit depressing because I don't think it's a VMA foil, but it definitely came out slightly curled. It wasn't horrible, but this was fresh from a brand new box. So I guess only good news is I haven't seen a lot of complaints about that on social media from people who have been getting these as like their reward for trying to get Mythic Edition. So maybe this is like the exception to the rule. Who knows where they got their promo box from for the stream. So hopefully that's not how it was, but it was a little bit disappointing to see it come out curled brand new.
Blake should have like pulled it out of like an ice chest. He has like a cooler. He's like, we gotta keep the cards cold, otherwise they'll curl. But I hope they don't curl, because if they curl, then that creates all kinds of problems. Not only do your precious, expensive foils curl, but they're not even tournament legal anymore. Nothing worse than the first Reddit post showing someone getting DQ'd from a tournament because their cards were marked because of the curling.
Yes, that would definitely not be good. What do you make of the end of master sets thing? Like, what is... They said in the stream, so this is their last master set for a while. It sounds like there's no more that are currently planned, but they wanted to leave the door open in case things change in the future. But they also promised more supplemental products to kind of fill in that void. And one of the bits of speculation, if you combine that with a survey that Wizards sent out a while ago asking about products that were reprints but also new cards for Modern, do you think that might be where they're heading? Like, I think that's my hope for sure. And my guess is that maybe instead of a master set, we're going to get a Battle Bond or Conspiracy type set that mixes reprints with new cards and have them be legal in Modern.
Yeah, pretty much. I don't buy this for a second. Yeah, they're not going to technically have master set, but they are going to make products that are chock full of reprint value. And I think you hit it on the head, Seth. They'll make some kind of master set that introduces, or not master set, but some kind of reprint set for Modern that introduces some new cards. So, Battle Bond, Conspiracy, things like that, but for Modern. And that's where we're going to get our Tarmogoyf reprints and Dark Confidant reprints and things like that going forward. But I think it's naive to think that, they're never going to reprint any Modern staple again. Like, it's only going to go through Standard. Like, no, they're going to reprint their cards for as long as they can.
And really, with how poorly received the last two master sets were, you can't really blame them for trying something else. It feels like they stuffed Ultimate Masters with basically close to every reprint. I saw someone on Twitter said 7 of the 10 most expensive cards in Modern are in the set for sure, and we've only seen some of the cards. And the missing ones, one of them was Scalding Tarn, which they're not reprinting the fetch lands. Those will get reprinted eventually. So a huge percentage of the most expensive cards in the Modern format are in the set and coming soon.
Yeah.
So should we talk a little bit about these cards? We've been talking about the set from a broad perspective and prices and all that. Let's go through the actual cards that we know of from Ultimate Masters. And right now we have 40 cards. And the important thing here is these cards are the box toppers, but every single one of them is also in the set. So Richard, ready to talk some cards?
Yep, let's do it.
All right, first up, we're going to go through the mythics. And like I said, 20 mythics in the set. Mythic number 1, Balefire Dragon. Richard, what do you think of...
We shouldn't have did it in alphabetical order on the screen. We started with Tarmogoyf, but immediately, if you haven't seen these cards, you can see that the art box, it bleeds out to the side. The type line is transparent. The text on the card is simplified, so you don't have flavor text. You don't have reminder text, so Balefire Dragon doesn't have reminder text, but you'll see it later. And the cards are always marked as mythic in the box topper, even though the card in the set may not be. And the art is bigger. You notice how the dragon is actually zoomed in and like more impressive on the box topper version?
Yeah, I really like how they made these cards. Like, no flavor text, no reminder text, the zoom in art. I think they look really sharp. But what do you think of the aesthetic of these cards, Richard? Are you happy with it compared to some of the different unique takes of cards we've seen recently?
I really like it. I like the zoomed in art, and the kind of lack of border makes this card feel very red. Like, if you look at this card, you're like, it is a red card. And you're going to see that with the other cards. And the bigger art makes all the difference. I don't know how much bigger it is, like 10%, 20%, but you'll see a lot of details that you don't see normally. So I really like it. It is impressive, and it is different from doing a full art border extension of the existing card, because the art is bigger, the text box is different. So you can't just kind of cheap out and find an artist to extend all your existing cards. You know, this is a very different looking product.
Yeah. So Balefire Dragon, kind of meh. I mean, it is like a $15 card, so it's not low value, but it's one of the probably lesser exciting mythics to get as your box topper. Next, though, we have one of my favorite mythics, not just from value, but oh my god, I love the art on this card. Bitter Blossom. Oh man, this might be my favorite new art from the set. It looks so good to me. What do you think of Bitter Blossom, Richard?
This is so good. It's like way better than the original. And you know what this means? It means we're going to get new fairy tokens as well. So this is a really sweet card. This is one of those, there are a couple cards with new art. This is one of them. And these are like kind of the reason to get the new version. Cause you're like, oh my god, they saved this epic art for this version, right? And this art is just amazing. I love Bitter Blossom. It's one of those cards that kind of slow, has downsides, but you always kind of want to make it work because it's just so much value. So much value.
The other sweet thing is the same art is used in the set proper. So maybe this box topper foil ultra rare version probably going to be really expensive. $100, more than $100, but you can probably get the normal set Ultimate Vasters version, which also features art, not quite as cool looking, but same art for probably normal Bitter Blossom price. So I like that they did it that way as well. So there is this super high end version for the collectors, but there's also a playable version. If this is just your favorite Bitter Blossom art, you can still get a cheaper version of it too.
Yeah, but the full art version is so much better than the normal version. My only gripe is I wish they made non-foil versions. I hate foils, right? But I love this new frame, so I just wish you had a non-foil version with, you know, the fairies, like, I don't know, like a 30% bigger or something in the full art version, right? So it just looks so much better.
Yeah, no, it does look really good. Well, next up, we have a Mythic Land, and this is a card, the art is old. It looks fine in the new frame. I think I prefer the original art. Cavern of Souls. So Cavern is a card I'm really happy is getting reprinted because it is absurdly expensive on Magic Online and also in paper, and it really adds a lot to the cost of decks. And with blue-white control kind of re-emerging in Modern, Cavern is really important for a lot of different strategies. So I'm not super excited about the Ultimate Box Stopper version. It's kind of one of the meh ones for me, but as a value making Modern more accessible reprint, pretty big fan of Cavern.
Looks pretty good, I think. Still looks pretty good. Yeah, notice this is the first printing with the colorless symbol on it, I believe.
Ooh, that's true. So if you gotta have your up-to-date mana symbols, you gotta get this version. Mm-hmm. Next up, we have a classic land, Karakas. And Karakas, legacy staple, abandoned commander, unfortunately. Funny Karakas story. When we first started doing Commander Clash, I think like every white deck I made or that had white in it, I would put Karakas in it because it seemed so obviously good in Commander, and then my deck would be illegal and I would have to remember that Karakas was banned and I do it again the next week. And now eventually I remembered that you can't do it in Commander, but
what about fixed Karakas for Commander? Return a legendary creature you control.
Ooh, that could work as a way. Actually, that sounds like a good Commander card. It reminds me of the...
Is this still too good, though? Maybe it's still too good.
Maybe it would have to be like, sacrifice this to return your Commander to your hand, so you can one-shot it.
But then that's not worth it. Or is it? I mean, I guess you're saving 2 mana from recasting your Commander at the cost of going down a land permanently.
Yeah, it probably depends on the specific Commander. Or maybe like Phage or something would want it, but yeah. All right, let's keep moving. We got 40 cards to talk about today. Another land, Dark Depths. And this is new art, right? This art doesn't look familiar to me.
This is new art and possibly one of the best arts. This is a fearsome land. You do not want to see this on the battlefield, but this also means Merit Lodge token. It also
finally
means that we finally get the token. But look at that.
The art is awesome. And I just love the little guy standing up there. Like, you know that it can't really see Merit Lodge, so yeah. It's about to get its day completely ruined and it has no idea how in trouble it really is.
Yep. It's like, yes, you need like 60 mana to summon the beast. All right, I'll just hang out here and play my girly creatures. That's what he's thinking.
Next, classic Classic art, classic creature, probably the best creature in the game, honestly. Emrakul, the Eon Storm, and we actually got the entire cycle of original Eldrazi all at Mythic, so we'll be seeing them later, but I mean, Eldrazi are, you not excited about Emrakul?
I wish there was new art, but I mean, Emrakul has so much new art from like the new version and stuff, but this one I'm not excited about. This one's just like,
The Eldrazi are always more expensive than I think they should be, because we've already got them in a master set once. Emrakul was also the buy-a-box promo for Rise of the Eldrazi, and it's still pushing $40, even with those multiple reprints. So, I mean, from a value perspective, I think it's a fine reprint. People can use them to, like, bling out their cubes or commander decks with the new border and whatnot, so.
I think it's the art. It's too, like, cartoony. It's not fearsome enough. It's not like, you just lost the game, like, scoop it up. Like, it's just like, what is that?
What about Kozilek, Butcher of Truth? Do you feel the same way about all the Eldrazi? Yeah. It's all original art. It's all, yeah.
They needed to make them more menacing. Like, it just looks like a statue or something. Like, I'm just not scared of it.
Yeah, it isn't the scariest. Although, if you actually play a game with it, it's pretty scary. Yeah. Annihilator, brutal mechanic. All right, let's keep moving out of the world of Eldrazi into the world of cards that we have banned on Commander Clash. Mana Vault, everyone's favorite fast mana spell. And they said on the stream this was first time foil, and I think that's semi-true. Yes, there is a master's piece, so it's the first non-masterpiece foil. Take that as you will, but really powerful card. I expect this to be pretty expensive because Commander players like to bling out their decks. How do you think this compares to the masterpiece? You're blinging out your commander deck, Richard. Do you go with this new Ultimate Box Topper version, or do you go with the Masterpiece version?
I think Masterpiece. I think Masterpiece is more unique looking. So this is more for the subtle, but if you're trying to like bling your deck out, I think you gotta go with weird frames and stuff.
No subtlety. You need that gold glimmering on the battlefield. I would go with this one. I just like how clean these cards look. The like semi-borderless, no reminder text. They just look so clean and sharp to me.
And this is Magic Online art. So if you're a Moto player, you have seen this. But if you're a paper player, first time in paper.
Speaking of Moto, this set is also coming to Magic Online in December, and on Magic Online, $7 a pack. So the traditional master set price. So if you want to play some limited and don't have $15 a pack or whatever it ends up being, it's a good way to get in some drafts potentially. So next up we got Sigarda, and for me this is kind of one of the meh ones. What do you think of Sigarda being included, Richard?
I don't like the card. I don't really like the art. It's like zoomed in, but like her face is still blurry. Like, you can't really see anything. It just looks like you know when you're trying to find art for a video, but the character is like in the background of some other art, so you like zoom in and crop it out. Like, that's what this feels like.
And it's only like $15, $16, so it's not really a super high value card either. But I mean, it's fine. You gotta have some white cards. Speaking of cards that are really good, Karn Liberated. This is a card that has been at the top of the requested reprint list for a while. $87 currently for the cheapest printing. So what do you think about Karn?
Karn Daddy needed some new art. We've seen this card exiling your land since I don't know how long. I think you needed new art here, but you know, it's Karn. Karn is exciting. I'll take a Karn any day, but I really wanted to see new art here.
I would be down with some new Karn art. I do think like this art is pretty iconic, but new art would also be nice. We don't get enough new Planeswalker art outside of the like Planeswalker decks. Not a whole lot of new Planeswalker art traditionally. Mm-hmm. Next up, Snapcaster Mage. Another, I wish we got the original art personally. I think I prefer the original invitational art. Plus it kind of drives me slightly crazy when we have an invitational card and then the person whose card it was is slowly like is no longer on the card after we get more and more reprints with different art. But I mean, good reprint.
Yeah, I really like this version. It's like the card is so blue. You'll never mistake this for a red card. Like the art is all blue. It bleeds into the frame. Like it just feels cool. Like I just like how blue it is.
You'll never mistake it. That is good. That is good. You don't want to accidentally think your Snapcaster is a red card. It is the bluest Snapcaster Mage. And we mentioned that with some of the other cards too. I think that's the advantage of the border extension or like semi-borderless look, whatever it is. It does really make the colors really pop on some of these cards. All right. Next up, almost through the mythics, Mikaeus the Unhollow, original art. I mean, it's a good commander card.
I really like this one. I think if you notice the background in the art, it's like, I don't know, like inscriptions on a wall or stone or something, and making it full frame lets you see all of that. And I keep harping on this, but the card is just really black, right? It just feels really
would never mistake
good.
it for a red card.
Yeah, that's right. And, the undying reminder text, which is like, I don't know, like 8 paragraphs or something, is like removed. So the card is much cleaner. So I really like the promo version compared to the original.
Yeah, I do too. I really like the no reminder text. I think it's a nice way to differentiate like these collector cards for experienced players from cards that people might actually want to play with. So you have the version with the reminder text if you're a newer player who needs a reminder, but you can get these super premium versions. Kind of like slightly like textless. Like you can't go all the way textless anymore. Wizards just isn't down for that, which makes sense. But this is kind of like a nice middle ground where you're minimizing the text and making the card cleaner for more experienced players. Mm-hmm. How about our next card? Leovold, Emissary of Trest. At one point, like the hottest card in Legacy. Now it's just like another card in Legacy. I think it's decent, but without Deathrite Shaman, a little bit less devastating.
Yeah, but still pretty good. You can see the type line here is very clear. The type line is transparent and the text is actually white instead of black now. And it just makes Leovold pop out more and reminds me of Tomer. He's like, let's make a deal, but this deal doesn't make any sense for you, but you can't complain.
All right, next we have Platinum Empyrean with some super sweet new art. I really like the art on this, and the text with no flavor text or anything, just your life total can't change. It looks so good. It looks so good.
The text is centered. It's like your life total can't change, and it looks like Iron Man. So good. You'd never understand this, Seth.
No, what's Iron Man? All right, let's keep moving. We got so many cards. Oh, another Eldrazi. Ulamog. I probably should have put that with the rest of the Eldrazi, actually. Meh. I mean, this isn't even the good Ulamog anymore. No one plays this one.
Yep. I wonder if they can't put the other Ulamog in, right? It's eliminated because they already have all the mythics?
Yes, and I would be very surprised if they put it at rare. That would be not good for limited.
Yeah, so no Eldrazi 2.0 here.
That's fine. Maybe when they bring master sets back in the future. We did get kind of a surprising reprint. This is our like old school expensive because it was in one of those weird sets, which I think was Portal 2 Temporal Manipulation. Basically, literally time warp, but from a weird set where there's hardly any supply.
Yes, the butterfly time walk. I like it. I just like taking extra turn after this one, like centered, nothing else.
I think like there's good news and bad news. Good news is this reprint should drop the price a ton because this card isn't played outside of maybe random commander decks. Bad news is it's going to give people another cheap extra turn spell for their commander decks, which is fun for no one.
Fun for you.
All right. And Liliana of the Veil, your favorite, Richard. Are you happy to see the return?
This is the most disappointing one ever. She totally needs new art. And I know we keep getting new Liliana cards like literally every set, but I feel like a special art version of Liliana of the Veil, I would happily replace my 4 immediately with the new art version. This version, like, it looks almost the same. It looks almost the same as a border extension.
It does look very similar to the original. What versions do you play now?
The original Innistrad versions.
Okay. So no upgrading? Not good enough to do the upgrade?
This is like literally the same. That's just like burning money. Like if it was new art or if the full art version was different. This is very close to a border extension. She's not even that much bigger in this one.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Well, we also got everyone's favorite card. And this one has very new art that it looks like a sliver to me. Do you see little sliver hands on Tarmogoyf, Richard? That's what I see. This is like sliver Goyf.
It is a sliver, but it also looks much more menacing than before. Before, you're like, I don't know what I'm looking at. And then you get the Modern Masters version. You're still like, I'm not really sure what I'm looking at still, but it's slightly clearer. Now you're like, oh my god, it's a Tarmogoyf, get out of here. Like, this new version is just crazy. Like, look at the teeth on this thing, right? This thing looks like it should eat Death Shadow for lunch. It doesn't. But I really like this, and of all the cards I've seen, like, this is the card that really makes me want to get the box topper. It's going to be so expensive. It's like buying 4 more Jund decks or something. But we'll see where the price lands. But this card, it feels like a Grinch or something. Doesn't this look like the Grinch or something? Like, it feels like a Christmas promo too, while we're looking at it.
It does look a little Grinchy. Yeah, it looks really good. At first, I was a little just like jarred because it's so different than past Tarmogoyfs, but I think it's my favorite Tarmogoyf art now.
Yeah. Will this card make Tarmogoyf playable in Modern again?
I don't think that's how it works.
What if they misprinted and give it an extra power and toughness?
And lastly, I think, or getting near the end of our list, we have Lord of Extinction. Meh. I mean, it looks kind of cool with the art being bigger, but... I mean,
I've heard this is a Commander staple, but I've literally never played this, nor have I seen anyone play this. But if you look at it, it's actually not that bad. But yeah, maybe we should start playing this, Seth.
I mean, it gets big. When you consider 4 people putting cards in their graveyard, it's pretty easy to have it be 20 or more power. Yeah. It's just like a big creature, though. It doesn't really do anything cool. It doesn't draw me cards. Yeah. So why would I play Lord of Extinction?
It dies to a Relic of Progenitus. It should be at least like star +1 or something so it can survive.
Yeah, that's a good point. Get Bajuka bogged out of the game.
Yeah.
And all right, this is our very last one. Same art, but nice new border. Vengevine, which has really come back to prominence in Modern lately. So what do you think of Vengevine, Richard?
I think the box topper version is just so much better. It looks like it's popping out of the frame. It's much bigger and menacing, and it just looks amazing. So I really like the box topper version here.
Yeah, the box topper version, it does look really good. I would definitely play those. I think it's my favorite of the Vengevine art. So that is all of our mythics, and oh man, we're going super long. Do you want to go lightning mode through the rares, Richard, so we can actually do fish mail and stuff?
All right, we'll go lightning mode.
So while half of the ultimate box toppers are the 20 mythics from the set, some of the rares and even a couple of uncommons slipped in as well. So we're going to go super quick through the rest of them. So Richard, first up, Tasigur the Golden Fang, notable because it is the single least valuable card out of any box topper, $1.80 right now for a Tasigur.
Really? Huh.
Yeah.
Even like below Kitchen Finks and whatnot. But I mean... Also, no go, because no banana. Like, it's just very simple.
It looks like a little bit weirdly sexual or something. Like, I don't know, with the whip and everything. I don't know. It's just like
Seth, get your mind out of the gutter.
It's creepy Tasigur.
It's no banana Tasigur. He's no good. It should have got stopped in review.
Demonic Tutor, next on our list. I really like the art on this one.
This is really cool.
It's so good.
There should have been flavor checks here. We're just like, yeah, I'm casually rowing down the boat here with the demon in tow. No problem. No worries. I really like it. That's my tutor.
What about your Reanimate? Also new art. Getting lots of good black cards. I like the new art. I still think the original Reanimate's my favorite art, but this one looks pretty good too.
This art's really good. I like it.
What about Engineered Explosives with Modern Masters version of art? This is a card mostly good because it's really expensive. Engineered Explosives, $83 at the moment in the paper world, which that's a lot of money. And it's a card that is pretty important for Modern decks. A lot of decks want at least one of them and maybe 2 of them in their sideboard. That's a huge cost to play your optimal sideboard.
Yeah, I just like the no reminder text on Sunburst. The card's so clean without it.
Yeah, that definitely improves it. Fulminator Mage. This is also new art, and it looks really good too. I think I like the new art on almost every single one of the cards. I think they really nailed it with the new art on this entire set.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. All the new art's pretty sweet. this Fulminator Mage, depending on how expensive it is, I don't know if it's worth upgrading my sideboard cards, but it is sweet. But I'm going to expect to pay a hefty price for these.
Yeah, I bet they will be pretty expensive. Gaddock Teague, good card, not new art, but
the only Kithkin.
I like, it does look really awesome with the extended border. Like, it's nicely centered and stuff. So I like how it looks without the border there. Yep. But next, Goryo's Vengeance. And what is that a zombie? What is going on? This is like horror movie art.
This is too scary. I don't want to look at this. I feel like there should have been a warning before revealing this card.
Yeah. Do you ever see The Ring? It was like a pretty old horror movie. Yep. It reminds me of The Girl in the Ring, I think.
Yep. This is too much. This is too much. Spliced onto Arcade. I hope you know what it does, because we don't have this reminder text anymore.
This is one of the cards where maybe they should have kept the reminder text. Yeah. Because who knows how that works.
Not important. Who has ever spliced this into Arcade on something besides Limited?
That's true. Next up, we have maybe one of the most important reprints from the set. At rare in the normal set even. Noble Hierarch, a card that we get lots of fishmail questions about. Should you buy it? Should you not buy it? Well, the answer now is pretty clearly wait until the set comes out in a month and pick them up then.
Yeah. No reminder text, no flavor text. Very simple text box.
Yep. Exalted, add the mana. Life from the Loam has some interesting new art. You would not mistake it as a red card. It is very green.
Yeah, you're loaming something here. I can't tell what's going on in this art, but I like Life from the Loam.
What about Maelstrom Pulse? Boo. Boring art. I like the Maelstrom. I like the art. It's just we've seen it many times before.
Yeah.
Through the Breach. This is one of my favorite arts because it's actually how it's played in Modern. It's a Nahiri and an Emrakul. And that's like exactly the deck in Modern that Through the Breach is an Emrakul. Yeah. So I really like how the art is imitating life in this case.
This art, I think, is one of the best arts in the entire set. You have Nahiri there, barely visible, summoning Emrakul through the Breach, and Emrakul looks menacing. This is not Emrakul the Aeon's Torns, even though it actually is. This is something that's gonna come and wreck your world, right? This is Pacific Rim or Godzilla or something, right? Like, you do not want to see this showing up on the shores of your city. This looks great. I absolutely love this, and maybe I'll just play a Through the Breach deck just so I can play this card.
Just so you can play the art.
Yeah, it's like so on flavor. It's like, Emrakul comes through, and then you throw in a Gristlebrand, and you're like, surprise.
What about Urborg, Tomb of Yawgmoth? This one actually looks really nice too. New art for Urborg.
Yeah, I don't even know. Was that a throne? Like that's the tomb, right?
I think it's supposed to be a tomb.
But it's so vertical. Like I don't know. It's weird.
I'm not up on my tombs. I don't know. Maybe that's what a tomb looks like.
I look at it, I see a clock tower with like a smiley face or something, like a mind face on it. I'm like, that can't be right.
How about Ancient Tomb? Speaking of tombs, what is the tomb level of this one, Richard?
This is very high. I see this and I'm like, that's clearly a tomb. It's clearly very ancient. I'll take this.
All right. And then we got the entire cycle of creature lands from Worldwake, all with the original art. They look good with the extended border, but nothing like super groundbreaking, I guess, but solid reprints.
Yep.
And then finally, we got two uncommons that snuck their way in. First off, Kitchen Finks with original art. And then secondly, Eternal Witness. And what do you think of the art on this Eternal Witness, Richard?
So I really like Kitchen Fink's art, by the way. The zoomed in version is amazing. And I love the new Eternal Witness as well. I think these are the cards that you're buying the set for. Like these new art versions and the full art versions, they're just amazing. I really love this art.
Yeah, the art looks great. The set, it looks great. Like, I want to be so hyped for this set. That's all the cards we know so far. Like we mentioned before, the week before Thanksgiving here in the US, which is, what did we figure out? 19th and 20th? Is that the spoiler days, Richard?
Yeah, they'll spoil the whole set over 2 days because, why give content creators a break? 2 days, and then the full set on Wednesday. All 254 cards.
Yeah, so a couple weeks, we'll know the rest of the set. For right now, we know all the mythics. We know probably a decent amount of the high-value rares. The set looks good. Gonna have to do some number crunching as far as the new MSRP, but what do you think, Richard? Any final thoughts on this surprise master set before we move on?
the new art is amazing. I think the new frames is amazing. The question is, can we afford this? Are Magic players going to eat this up? If they do, then expect the prices of all our staples to drop, right? They're going to be subsidized by people trying to bling out their deck. Or maybe everyone will be like me and just play it on Moto, where it's about the same price as a normal card, but we still get the new art. So, but Moto's not going to be able to do the frame correctly. Oh, never mind. This is not going to work on Moto.
Well, yeah, I don't know what's going to happen on Moto. I think the box toppers are going to come in treasure chests, but who knows exactly how good the frame will look. Yeah, sometimes a little hit or miss. So I think for me, big takeaway is Modern's going to be getting cheaper. We've been writing articles talking about over the last few months, Modern getting more expensive. There's most likely, it's not 100% confirmed, but a Modern Pro Tour this winter. So having these cards come out with many of the most expensive cards in the Modern format being reprinted, it's a really big deal and doubly important right now with Wizards saying they're pulling back and not doing master sets for the foreseeable future. If you have been waiting and you want to play Modern and you need Lilianas or Karns or these other really high value cards, engineered explosives, the creature lands, this is your window. Like, take advantage of these windows because it is the single most important thing you can do. Like, these cards will drop and then they won't get reprinted for 2 years and their prices will go back up to $80, $100. So if you can, try to take advantage of the window where the format goes on sale. We've talked about it before. So really important if you're looking to get into Modern to take advantage of the prices when they drop here. Anyway, moving on from the world of Modern and our surprise spoiler set, we wanted to briefly, because we're kind of running long, mention that there's a Pro Tour this weekend featuring Standard. So Richard, what is your hype level for Pro Tour Guilds of Ravnica starting Friday from Atlanta, I believe, over here in the US this time? What's your hype level at?
Not too hype. It's like so long after set release, Seth. I'm like all Guilds of Ravnica worn out. But I mean, it is a Pro Tour. We're going to see the best decks. The meta game will quote unquote shake up and solidify. So that's the exciting part. But I really do wish that this was much earlier. And plus, the hype of Ultimate Masters is going to overshadow the Pro Tour buildup. Normally, we'd be speculating. We'd have a whole podcast on the Pro Tour. But instead, we're going to talk about Ultimate Masters and figuring out what cards we can fit in our decks and things like that. So it's a little weird, the timing of the stuff, but it is a Pro Tour. We're finally going to see what the pros have been brewing, what they've been holding back these past couple months. So if you're a Standard player, it'll be an exciting time.
I am actually super hyped for this Pro Tour. So last time we had rotation, we had a Pro Tour and Teamer Energy. It was the best deck before rotation. It was the best deck after rotation to the point where it ended up getting banned and it was a miserable Pro Tour and it wasn't enjoyable. But I am actually really happy with where Standard is right now. Like, we're seeing kind of the give and take. We're seeing Golgari rise up and then the Angel deck beat Golgari and the Control deck beat the Angel deck. So we're seeing that rock, paper, scissors. We're seeing weird Phoenix's decks. We're seeing aggro decks. There might be even decks that we haven't even seen anyone play yet, like combo decks that might break the format. So it's been a long time since there's been a Standard Pro Tour that I've really been this excited about, because I actually feel like we don't know what the best deck is. Even though it's 6 weeks after the set release, we don't know right now. It's not already set in stone, and who knows what could come up. So I think it's going to be a super exciting weekend. If you like Standard, if you like Guilds of Ravnica, and if you like Magic, like I'm super, super hyped and super excited for it. Anyway, Richard, I think it is about fish mail time. So why don't you take it away and give us some fish mail?
All right. If you have questions, send them to @mtggoldfish with the hashtag mtgfishmail, and we'll get to your questions on air. So first question comes via email from Nathan. Seth, in your recent video, Your Deck Sultai, it seemed like stealing your opponent's cards has become much more popular in recent sets. Do you think it's possible it becomes a named mechanic like Surveil 2? So blank 2, steal the top 2 cards of your opponent's deck. Twice you may cast those cards.
Ooh. It seems unlikely to me, but I guess there's a chance that it's mostly like a black-red mechanic, so who knows if eventually we have Rakdos as a supported guild or something, and Wizards decides to make it a name mechanic for a set, but I would lean towards no. I think we are seeing more and more of those cards because they're really popular, fun, like casual/commander cards, but I would be surprised if it actually was a name mechanic.
Yeah, I think we'll see more of those cards, but it's too good to be a named mechanic. I can't imagine something that you just staple onto, draw a card and then this thing, right? Like, the card's gonna be so expensive, I just can't imagine there's too much design space for it. Tapiole, what is the best Jund build? Risk Factor, Dark Confidant? In today's modern metagame, what is Richard's Twitter account? Thanks for the podcast every week.
Well, this is you, Richard.
So, Twitter account, I just use that mtggoldfish. I don't have my own where I post my Jund musings. I don't know. It depends. I haven't actually tried the Risk Factor build, so I'm actually very curious. So Dark Confidant has the problem of just eating it. Like, people kill it immediately, and the body may not always be relevant. But Risk Factor is actually very interesting because all of your cards in Jund are so good. If your opponent just takes the damage, that's what they're probably going to do most of the time. If they give you the cards, you're probably going to win. So do you want such aggressive burn? And that depends if your Jund build is more aggressive or not. But I think Dark Confidant I like better because he's more consistent. I haven't played
Jund, so I'll go with Richard on this one.
Whatever the answer is, though, this doesn't help you against Dredge. So that's the problem. It doesn't really help you against all the matchups where you're kind of struggling in. Last week, MTG Arena started streamer events where content creators got to create special formats. What would your streamer event be? And why would Seth's be Panharmonicon emblem?
That would be super sweet if you could just start with a Panharmonicon emblem. Oh man, that would make me so happy. Just like if a ability would trigger, it triggers twice instead. That would probably be either that or like all non-basic lands or mountains. That would be a sweet one.
That one wouldn't work because everyone would play red decks. That coming in. But I think Panharmonicon emblem is pretty sweet. What would mine be? I don't know what mine would be.
Like some sort of tribal restriction. You gotta only play bad tribal somehow.
That would be sweet. All your creature types must match in your deck.
Ooh, yeah. I could see that. That would be the Richard restriction.
That would be sweet. Alright. Renfree. I played Magic Arena Beta right in the beginning and didn't enjoy it as much. Do you think it's worth to try playing it again?
Yes, 100%. For all the things we talk about and complain about, Arena has greatly improved since the start of the open beta, like leaps and bounds better than it was. So if you have not given it a shot in a while, definitely, it's free. You can get an account. You don't need a code or anything. So I would definitely encourage you to give it another try.
All right. Eladin 42 plus like a million other people. I'm pretty sure Bah Humbug's song on the bottom is Jingle Bells. Seth, are you a musician or not? I trusted you. And as soon as we put the podcast up, I got like a million messages saying, lol, is Jingle Bells. What's wrong with you guys?
I was trying to spell out a word. I thought they were going to spell out a word with the notes. I wasn't looking for songs. And it was so
you saw musical notes and you thought this was probably a code word.
Yes, I don't know why my brain worked that way, but yes, that's what I was looking for, some secret code word.
All right, Wesley Plujmart. I was watching Commander Clash and noticed Seth didn't pronounce Zindersplit. Can you do this now for us?
Zindersplit. I think that's how you say it, right?
Does it sound German enough? Like, do we need Tomer here? He's really good.
I think you're supposed to just be able to add any vowels you want. Isn't that how it's supposed to work?
Zindersplit.
So it could be like Zundersplut or Zundersplite. There's so many possibilities.
We need an official WotC stream where they just read card names to end these all debates. Kid Panama, why don't you have a mobile app? Is there any chance you could? Seems like all I ever need is on my phone. Coming soon? Question mark. Juzims to Plowshares. What is a competitive, easy to play, fun, modern deck for someone thinking about getting into the format? Not including Burn.
My recommendation is usually 8 Whack Goblins. I think it's fun. If you like aggro, it's fun. It's fairly easy to play, and it's actually pretty competitive. And if that's not your style, there's a lot of options on the Modern page if you look at the budget list that we've played in Modern. So pick one that is your play style. There's some controlling ones, tribal ones, but I think if you want just the budget deck that's most likely to win you an F&M, outside of Burn, which you said, I would probably go with 8-Wack.
All right, Man Sears Legros, inspired by 5C Lich, I'm making a super budget casual modern version. Tap Tri-Lands or Vivid Lands for a super budget brew.
I would probably, if you're 5 colors, I would probably play Vivid Lands, honestly. You can throw in some Tap Tri-Lands too, play them all, but I would think that the Vivid Lands would be number 1 if you're full 5 colors.
All right. Richard 93230 just started getting started on Magic Arena and got a $100 birthday gift. How should I best spend it to get my collection started?
Ooh. Well, number 1, buy a $100 pack of gems. And then number 2, it really depends on you. Probably the most efficient way, if you enjoy drafting and you're good at it, is to draft and focus on picking the rares and mythics that you see in the draft. Otherwise, pretty much buy some packs and crack them. Those are really the only 2 options, right, Richard?
Yeah, I think you just get the biggest bundle, which gives you a certain amount of wildcards. I would choose your first deck wisely. It's not easy to switch decks, so make sure you know what deck you want to build, and then use your wildcards to do that. And yeah, just start grinding away at events. Gochiner Jordan, last week you were asked about NFL teams, and your answers were prefaced by Canadian/Northern New York excuses. As an almost Canadian New Yorker, I feel compelled to ask if you follow any NHL teams. Got a cup prediction.
I have never really followed hockey, so no. I guess I would probably go with Buffalo if I had to choose one, but I have never really been a hockey fan.
Really? Ever? Have you ever skated?
Ever. No, not really.
What? How can you grow up in upstate New York without doing any of this? Is it not a big thing? Do you guys not go on lakes and skate and hope you don't die and things like that?
Not really, no. People ski and snowboard and stuff, but there's not, some people probably do, but it's not like a big thing here or anything.
Well, I guess I'm truly Canadian because I used to skate on lakes and stuff, and I always thought hey, does anyone know how to test the ice? And we're yeah, the ice looks solid, and it was very questionable, but we did it anyway. In terms of hockey, Leafs fan, but I don't really watch hockey anymore, ever since childhood, and just every couple years someone tells me that, oh, they got a new roster, they're all young and hungry, and they're up and coming, and then I watch the playoffs and they get immediately kicked out, and I'm okay. Same with the Blue Jays, ironically. Toronto sports fans are very hopeful. I always get news of this is the year, and I feel like I get duped. We haven't had the glory years since the mid 90s or something for sports in Toronto. Variant Human, Guilds of Ravnica has been out for a while. What is on your wish list for Ravnica Allegiance?
Ooh, man. Aristocrats. That's the main thing that I want to have happen. I want there to be, especially with Orzhov coming, enough sacrifice outlets that you can actually build at least a semi-competitive Aristocrat stack. That's a big thing we're missing right now. We have a lot of the pieces. A Blood Artist effect would be nice, but we really need a good sacrifice outlet.
Yeah, I just want to see more Orzhov cards. I like the Orzhov guild. I like Extort. I hope they bring back some overpowered multiplayer mechanic like that. Whipping back Obsidat is one of my favorite memories from the last time we were on Ravnica. So yeah, I just want to see some cool Orzhov cards. Last question. Morgan Necessary. Mox Opal is not one of the box toppers. With about 20 mythics spoiled, is this a sign that it's not in the set and likely to get banned in 2019?
Well, pretty confident it's not in the set. That's not a card I could imagine being rare, so I'm very confident it's not in the set. As far as being banned, I don't know. It's a card that could be banned. I don't think it's at the very top of the watch list at the moment, but I think Wizards will shake something up before the Pro Tours this winter and also a lot of Modern GPs this winter. So I expect something to happen. Maybe it's Mox Opal. Maybe it shows up in whatever this new product that we're expecting in the next year, I would assume. And maybe Mox Opal is the chase mythic of that. So could go either way.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be at rare. And even if it was at rare, they'd include it as a box topper because it's such a chase card in Modern. So it's probably not in the set. It probably means they don't want you doing unfair things with Mox Opal. So they're not going to reprint it to make it super cheap. But I don't think this means it's going to be banned or it's not going to be banned. I don't think we can read anything into that. But we can see that maybe they don't want this effect and they're not going to reprint it to make it too plentiful.
Yeah, I agree.
That's all our fish mail. So thank you to everyone who sent them in. If you have questions, send them to @mtggoldfish with the hashtag mtgfishmail.
And I think that brings us to the end of episode 196 of the MTG Goldfish podcast. So Ultimate Masters, looking sweet. Enjoy the Pro Tour this weekend. If you don't have anything going on, check it out. It should be an exciting weekend. Thank you all for listening. Richard, thanks for hanging out. It's always fun. And again, thank you to our sponsor, Spikes Academy. You can find them at spikesacademy.com. Get 10% off with the cold goldfish. So thank you again to them for their support. And with that, have a wonderful week. We will be back next week with all the Pro Tour results and whatever else is going on in the world of Magic. So until then, have a wonderful week, and we'll talk to you soon.